all of you in some way have expressed feelings of regret or feelings of the what ifs. And the first thing that I want to say to you is that nobody gets a script in life about what to do in these issues, right? Nobody knows, and very, very few people understand the nature of the disease of addiction, which is what our program is set about, is to teach people so that we help destigmatize it and we help make the church a resource so that people know that they can come and there'll be people they can talk to accompany them through this process. So I guess my first thing to you is that you have shown love, and you know, so I don't want you to burden yourself with deep regrets, because we all do the best that we can in the moment, and that's the truth. And that his legacy, Nunzio's legacy, lives on right now through everything and every word that you have spoken, because it will reach other people. And this is a huge thing that we're doing. So that is like off camera, like he's not going to thank me. But I have to tell you that, because that's the truth. That's the very truth. You know, that, you know, nobody goes into things knowing what to do in these situations, especially with this disease. So you all have done remarkably well, and you continue to love your brother and your son. So as we move forward in this, you know, we've talked about a little bit from a perspective of each one of you, what you would say to somebody going through the same position that you're in, you know? And as a family, what as a family would you recommend saying to another family that has a loved one who is sick and suffering right now? You know, we've heard from it individually, but as a family, what might a family do together? What have you learned that you could share for somebody else going through it as a family?
I can answer that a little bit. I think when you think about addiction and all the things that come with it, and all like the heartbreak and anger and regret and all the things that are associated with it, I think there's a point where you have to put like yourself aside from everything. It has to be like us, like we are battling addiction with him, like we're part of it. And I think we've talked about regret so many times, but that's one thing I regret too, is like not being like, all right, let's form a team and help this man out, like help our brother and our son out. So I think that taking as it's more us than it's he or she needs to figure it out. It's like we need to do our best to figure this out.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, Giuseppe. That's true. In our culture, we tend to think that the person with the addiction needs to do what they have to do, but it's not just them. We need to all come together. And one thing that I would add to that is for the family to always try to remember who the person was before this happened. That person is still there underneath, you know, and it's easy to forget the person that you love, you know. It's easy to forget how they were, how lovable they were. So I that's one thing I would want families to remember.
I mean, I think they both said it perfectly. Those are really all my thoughts too, just that it's hard in the moment to know what the right thing to do is, and it's easy to, you know, to get angry and to kind of be selfish about it, I guess. But the person that's battling the addiction really needs the support of everyone that loves them. So I think that's just something that I would say to another family in this situation, to really try to put your feelings and your pain aside, to be there for the person as best as you can.
I like that concept of that team approach. Pietro, were you going to add something to that?
Yeah, it's like Dale said. Well said, everybody. Put your plans aside. Dedicate your time 100% to your family and to your loved one. Like Giuseppe said, let's form a team. Let's see what we're gonna do. Let's see our weak point, our strength, and let's put it all together. Let's see how can we help this person. You know, for us, they came too late. But for whoever is watching this and listening to us, every moment counts, don't hesitate a bit. Read as much as you can about this. Listen to advice, but in the end, it's within your four walls. It's in your house, and don't ever stop loving that person. Never.
And I'd like to add too, the family can't do it alone. The family needs to be connected to others, and this is a spiritual disease. I saw that with my son. It shows up physically, it shows up in behavior, but at the root it's spiritual. And the family needs to get that spiritual healing too from their church community. You know, you need that. You can't, family can't battle this all by themselves. We need to have the support of our church community and people that understand the disease from this perspective. It's the only place that you can get it, that spiritual healing. Without the spiritual healing, I don't believe the other healing can really take hold.
How has spiritual healing helped you as a family to evolve from where you were to where you are now, and able to and willing to share your family's thoughts and in such a profound and beautiful way with us? How has that spiritual healing helped?
I think personally, just the amount of times per day that I actually pray feels like a conversation with him. Like, I don't know how I would interact with him if I wasn't involved spiritually in that sense. Like, I guess the conversations that I have with him are through prayer. So I think that's the most important thing. Is like most of the time I'm praying with God and with Nunzio, but it just feels like that's my time alone with him, and it's super important to me. It's the time that I feel, we talked about it before, it's the time that I feel closest to him that I have in years.
Feel the same?
Yes, you know, this has shown me my son's suffering and his death have shown me that our relationship continues after life. And the only reason that it continues is because God is in the middle of it. God gave me that son, gave me these children, this husband. And there's love there. That love that is between us is eternal. It is very much, you know, present to me all the time. So and my spiritual life has deepened so much. I know that he goes on. I know, I feel his presence, and the only reason is because God is there with us. God's presence.
You know, we've talked about even yesterday in our coursework, talking about how transformative suffering can be.
Yeah.
And that at the deepest times of our suffering, we have an opportunity to grow spiritually. I know, Melinda, you've said that you've grown spiritually. Have the rest of you felt as though there's been some sort of spiritual deepening for you during this process?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not a type of guy that goes to church every day or every Sunday. But since I lost Nunzio, I turn to God more than I used to. Like Guiseppe said, I talk to him through God and ask for his guidance and ask God to take care of my son, because I can do it. So I'm asking him to do it.
How about you, Michela?
Yeah, I agree. I think without our faith, I don't think we'd be able to get through this and heal, even though it's so hard. But it's definitely, I've had a lot of moments where I feel his presence, and I have those times too where I feel like I can kind of talk to him through prayer too. So that's been helpful for me, and I really don't know how you can get through this, such a loss, or even just having someone that's addicted without faith and without God.
Do you think that Do you think that the church has a larger role to play in terms of actually being able to be a resource for people? Do you think that if the church understood this disease better, that they might be able to?
Absolutely. I know that there are people sitting in those pews in my church, and I know some of them who are struggling with the same thing in their families. And it's, you know, they need that healing. We maybe will talk to each other, but we don't have a real, let's say, a place in our parish life that addresses our particular suffering. And it is particular. You know, this is an illness like no other, and losing someone to this illness is a grieving like no other also. It's different, and we need to be able to minister to each other, but not just the families, but to minister to the people who are craving that spiritual connection. They're craving the spiritual healing. I know my son was craving that toward the end of his life. I know. I sat and prayed with him. He knew that was the only thing that was going to help him. God's answer to that prayer was to take him to him and relieve him of all his suffering so that he could be present to all of us all the time. But it's really necessary, I think, for the church to be able to reach out and acknowledge that this is an illness that people are suffering from in great numbers. And we need to minister to each other. And we need to also understand that this disease of addiction is attachment at the base. And we all of us, suffer from the tendency to be attached to things that pull us away from God, things that don't serve us well. And so it's part of the human condition. The church needs to say this, I think, too, because our church fathers have said it. Augustine, or Dante wasn't a church father, but he said it too, and St. Paul said it. You know, if we read our scripture, we know our scripture is talking about attachment. We need to make that connection in the church.
So, your brother's here with you. Your son is here with you.
Yes, he is.
I know it, right? So, your family message to him: he is listening, he is ever present, he is unburdened, and he is with you.
Part of the whole thing that I've been saying the whole time, and like I said, was I always pray for forgiveness, so my apologies to him are like never ending, and I think he knows, and it's something that we all keep communicating to each other and to him, is that we always loved him and we never stopped loving him. It was just a different way that we had to see him. Like we always loved him. I loved him growing up, and I loved him when me and him would go nose to nose and almost fight, but now it's just, love is so different now, the way that we look at it. But looking back on it, there's like, I would do anything to have him come down the stairs and see him again.
Can you do me a favor and tell him that right now?
Yeah. Nunzio, we love you and we miss you, and we apologize for all the ways we didn't do the service that we needed to do for you, but we've always loved you and we always will.
I want to tell him.
Tell him.
I want to tell him thank you for walking with me. I walked with you, and now you are walking with me through this. His spirit is with me forever, and I thank him for that. I thank him for being who he was, and in his suffering showed me something so profound about God's love. I'm forever grateful for his life and what he's given me.
I guess I just want to tell him, I just want him to know how much we love him. And I'm sorry if we didn't always show it when we should have. But I know that he forgives us, and I know that he's always with us. We can feel it. And that'll never change. He'll be with us for the rest of our lives.
Nunzio, I'm sorry for treating you the way I did. I always loved you. I never will stop loving you. I will never ask for forgiveness if I don't deserve it. But what I ask you every day is to be the guardian angel to Michela, Guiseppe, and Mom. They really need you. They love you. They will never stop loving you and will miss you a lot. And I hope that this helps somebody else in need.